Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Happy Hour podcast pre-game episode. Of course, I'm Ray, and I'm here with a very, very special man in my life, and that's my best friend.
Gay.
And that's my best friend in the whole entire world. You guys know that I've known Blood forever. I've known Socrates forever, but I haven't known anybody half as long as what I've known this man. You know, we started, and I don't want to get too much into the backstory or too much into anything because basically you're gonna have to tune in for that. This is just us being us right now and
watch and listen.
Shit. Yeah, watch and listen. And actually, what's
and
hilarious?
I'm getting a cut of this episode on Patreon or Patreon or whatever it's called.
What's
30%.
Hilarious is you were just telling me that your grandmother religiously watches the podcast.
Yes,
I did not know that.
My 69, 70-year-old grandmother is a fan of the Happy Hour podcast. Found out today.
And your grandmother's in Florida.
No, South Carolina.
South Carolina. Okay, so when I look at the specs and I see South Carolina, well, actually, I can't see the Facebook specs. Apparently, she watches on Facebook.
Yeah, she's on Facebook Live.
But that's pretty cool. I never knew that. I was like, oh man, it just goes to show that you're probably one of the most twisted individuals. I'm as fucked up as I am because of you. I blame you for that.
Not so much anymore. A full-time career / job type thing, and a bunch of kids, and not being able to get arrested will do that to you. You tend to calm down.
But speaking of which, there's so many times when we probably could have been or should have been
arrested. Yes. Anything wrong that we ever did to anybody, at least on my part, probably deserved it. I was not one of I wasn't going around like damaging like random people's shit or like stealing shit. We were just being drunk and dumb and out at bars, having too much of a good time.
I don't know who out of our crew would ever do anything like the stuff you just mentioned above, but I do know that they are sitting in this room. But I'm not going to say who they are.
It wasn't me. I never broke something that didn't belong to me without paying for it. Like if I got drunk and fucked something up at somebody's house, I may not have that night, but when I woke up the next morning and remembered, I did pay for it.
There's a few stories we're going to get into and stuff like that, especially your poor house. Which
my house got fucked up.
Yeah, when your aunt and uncle were on not too long ago, the Perry Hall Ghost Hunters. Shout out to the Perry Hall Ghost Hunters.
What up, people?
Their daughter now lives in your house. And I told her, I was like, the things that have happened in that house between you living there and Dave living there.
Oh, yeah.
Like, and they even said Bobby never left. Like, Bobby's like the weird guy.
I think he's still, he's hanging out there somewhere.
Yeah, he's like up in the attic somewhere. And, automatically when I speak of that house down off of Broadway and Dundalk, so many things just right there in my mind.
Oh, yeah.
We could do a whole episode of the podcast just on that house.
There's been some nights where you could probably do a whole episode on like just one night.
Yeah.
And leave people like scratching their heads going, what the fuck did I just listen to? What what the fuck is wrong with these people?
And
let's just say there were blow up dolls. Yeah. There was people flying out of windows,
glass tables,
so much shit got broken and destroyed. I know I still own the house, but I lived there for probably about 5 or 6 years where I owned the mortgage. I was there for like 2 years before that. Just repairing shit that I broke or paying somebody to come out and fix shit that I broke.
Or
in that
stuff
house.
That I had to pay for to help you fix because I fucked something up, which we're going to get into that story. Once we go on Facebook Live and actually start recording the actual episode, we don't want to spoil a lot of stories, but this is just us giving everybody a little bit of something extra on Patreon, and I mean, really, when we start the episode, there's no way we can start the episode without saying how we became friends.
Oh yeah,
that story alone.
It almost started. It starts with me almost getting beat up.
And then
tune in and listen.
Yeah, and then it starts with you almost getting beat up, but then we find out that we have a mutual interest.
And that was the dislike of other people plus porn and pizza.
Yes. And that just hearing how that comes together is just kind of like, that's what binded us for life. Like, you talk about people who potentially tie their own dicks together. Like that's pretty much what allowed us to
not
tie
that
our
there's
own
anything
dicks
wrong with
together.
being gay,
Yes,
but right,
yeah.
I'm not. We don't. That doesn't go that way. I don't know what
See
what he's talking about.
That's the opposite with you and Blood. Is that when we were drunk, we'd be drunk. When we were drunk with Blood,
him and Blood probably
would group you. Blood wouldn't
he
care.
probably tied his dick with Blood's dick. I've met the man. Blood's fucking stapled in his forehead.
We probably cannot get into a lot of it, but the scavenger hunts that we had.
Westmoreland, yeah.
Tying two dicks together sounds like something that we would have put in one of those scavenger hunts when we had the short bus.
Yeah,
if you remember the short bus. So
yeah, I don't look. I'm going to talk about illegal shit other people did, but not what I did.
Yeah.
So
put it this way, we would do it right here on the Patreon, but we're also not sure about the statute of limitation on some of that stuff, on when it expires, because let's just say some of those, put it this way, I'm going to say one story real quick and I'm going to kind of dance around what it is, but me and Bobby went on kind of a spree. Like, how people, they go on a murder spree. Like we went on a spree of stealing a particular object. There was one day we were walking down the road and we had a case of beer. I'm carrying it above my shoulder. I think it was
it was him and somebody else. I wasn't there.
A 30 pack of Natural Light, and the box explodes. Beer falls everywhere. And I'm just kind of like, oh well, what the fuck? All of our beer exploded. Three of them rolled down the sewer drain. And Bobby, like, he's fucking sitting there, like, he's ready to go down and fucking see it to get those fucking beers. Like, that's, he's like halfway, like, fucking shoulder deep in the fucking storm drain. And so I'm like, well, fuck, how are we supposed to carry all these? So Bobby just goes, we can use that.
It was box on somebody's front lawn.
Yeah, a box on somebody's front yard.
There was nothing in the box. Yeah, let's be clear about that. There was nothing in the box.
Sometimes you can put things in that box.
From what I heard, because I wasn't there.
Yeah. And the thing is you can put things in and out of the box. Sometimes it has a door.
You can put things in and out of a lot of different boxes.
But anyways, he sits there and he takes said box. And this was a glorious, beautiful, beautiful box. Like, probably one of the most elegant boxes I've ever seen.
Highly decorated.
Yeah, highly decorated. So we take the box and we put all the beer in it. We're like, well, fuck, we can just haul our beer around in this. So after that fact, every time we would get drunk, we would see one of those said boxes and we would take one. Sometimes those boxes did have said things in them. Little did we know how much of a crime it was. And we one day, when Google was starting to get into its heyday, just Googled blah, 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 time in prison for doing this kind of thing. And when you look at it, the offense was, if you get caught, 10 years. So if you're smart and you do the math, look things up that can get you 10 years in prison, you can probably figure out what we may have did. Or you may just know us and know what the fuck we're talking about.
Again, it wasn't me. I wasn't there.
But
my name is Chris, not Bob.
We looked and we're like, fuck, if everybody catches us with all these boxes in the yard or, whatever. And of course we took them to your house.
They were quickly removed.
Yeah.
Because I don't condone that type of stuff.
Quickly removed by way of bonfire.
Well, no, that was a night.
Cardboard burned.
No, that was the night that no, you guys threw it back in somebody's car and left, because that was the night my brother had his daughter and you and Bobby came in the house loud as fuck. And that was the night my brother smacked the shit out of Bobby.
I've seen Bobby get smacked. I've seen Bobby get stabbed, which actually the Bobby getting stabbed story I am going to bring up on the live feed. Because
I don't know if I was there for that.
You weren't. It was when Dave lived there and we decided we were going to take garbage and put it on Dave's porch, and we thought you were still living there. It was right after you moved out.
Okay.
And we were like, we're going to go take Chris trash, but your brother had just moved back in.
Okay.
I don't know why the hell we thought you still lived there, but when you drink as much as we drank, and that's the thing, like, don't take in my, like, I still do this podcast. I'll drink like 4 of these and I'll be like, what the fuck's happening? Way back in the day, if we drank 4 of these, we were asked to leave the party. That's just the way it worked. Like, you drank 4 beers and you're done, get out.
Right. Yeah. Like, it was we 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. That's how we did it.
Yeah, that's how it was. And
but I will say that, like, now I'm fucking 35, almost 36 years old.
Yeah.
If I drink once every 6 months. That's a lot. Coffee's my best friend.
and
Shout out to Folgers if you want to sponsor this podcast. Let me know. Hit me up. We'll work something
and
out.
actually, shout out to Beefalo Bob's, who we are now in a partnership with. I'm actually working pretty diligently to try to get our 1-year episode live from Beefalo Bob's. So shout out to Beefalo Bob's.
They got 2 locations. Curtis Bay.
And
One is
Pasadena.
on Mountain Road. The other is on Fort Smallwood Road. I frequent the one on Mountain Road. Well, I used to frequent the one on Mountain Road a good bit.
Yeah.
And I go to the one in Curtis Bay on Fort Smallwood Road. They're pretty good. Great service, great friends, and always tip well when you're there.
Yes. So shout out to Beefalo Bob's. We're still kind of in the works of getting things worked out on how everything's going to be. They're going to give us some t-shirts. They're going to give us some free food. We're going to promote them as much as we can so our worldwide audience knows who Beefalo Bob's is. They do cater. Beefalo Bob's, actually, we almost chose them to cater the wedding. Mission Barbecue was a little bit cheaper. We ended up going with Mission Barbecue, but Beefalo Bob's does do catering. They cater weddings. They cater whatever you want. So make sure you hit up Beefalo Bob's and have them cater your event. But anyways, back to the story, back to the task at hand. So we look up and we're like, man, we're facing 110 years for all these said boxes. Like, and it's just, and damn well that the things that go on up here, like, that there's people who drink and then they beat their wife. There's people who drink and then get violent. And then there's us. Like, we drink and we just do stupid shit.
Used to.
So
we're both way too fucking old for that now.
We still do stupid shit in our own right.
Not really. Like last time we drank, we sat in my backyard and had a bonfire.
And talked about the stupid shit that we did.
There you go. Like, if I do half the shit now that I used to do, a third of the shit now that I used to do, I'm not walking the next day. Like my hips, my back, my head, like it's done. I'm too old for that.
Yeah. But no, I mean, dude, like what was it? It was what, 6th grade we became friends.
Eighth.
Eighth. Was it 8th?
Eighth grade. Dundalk.
Okay.
Dundalk Mills. I just because 8th grade I started at Stricker, and they found out that I'd moved to the other part of Dundalk. So like, you can't go here no more. Get out. And it doesn't help that I got into altercation with the teacher and things were said. It's something about me being white trash and me calling the teacher a hefty bitch or something.
If you remember, what was it? What was it? We were in 9th or 10th grade. We had a teacher named Mr. Cochin or Dr. Cochin.
Coaching 10th grade English.
Yeah, 10th grade English. And he was he looked exactly like fucking Edgar Allan Poe.
Shoot that motherfucker.
Yeah. Mr. Cochin literally threw every single person in his class out. More so you.
Almost every day I had to sit in the hallway and do my 10th grade English.
Yeah. And there was a day.
So if I don't speak right, that's why, Coach, it's your fault.
There was a day where he threw me out because we were watching, what was it? The Great Escape, I think it was. It was The Great Escape. And there was this guy coming up from the water, he's coming out and he's the antagonist.
And for you guys that don't know, The Great Escape is a World War II Steve McQueen movie.
Steve McQueen was the fucking
We watched
man.
So many Steve McQueen movies in English class.
We should probably be able to name every movie he's ever done.
The Great Escape and Les Butterfly.
Yeah.
The two best ones.
I think Mr. Cochin was a huge mark for Steve McQueen because that's all we watch. I don't think I have ever recall watching anything else.
We didn't open a single book in that class.
We just watched movies.
We watched. If we had to read the book, he said, "Watch the movie. Close enough."
Yeah, and that was the thing. And
read on your own time.
Yeah, but see, the thing is maybe Edgar Allan Poe never died. Maybe Edgar Allan Poe was just Mr. Cochin, and he's like, "Look, I wrote all these fucking poems. I'm not fucking having these motherfuckers read no more
and butcher my shit."
Yeah,
because we were a bunch of fucking idiots at Dundalk High in the 10th grade.
So we're gonna watch videos. So no, Dundalk. Speaking of which, I'm mortally offended that where our school actually sat is now the fucking fields for the new gigantic state-of-the-art fucking schools that they have there.
Now our old school is the new school. Where the fields at is where the the old jock. It was the old jock lot, not like the cafeteria.
Yeah. But still, they moved it over.
Yeah.
Some.
Oh yeah. They took out the bowl where they used to. I think our JV football team played, and I think they had a couple of lacrosse games there. We used to. I played 9th grade lacrosse. Woo! I had surgery on my stomach, and I had to miss the rest of that year.
I remember that.
But we used to have to run those fucking hills up there. So when they filled it in, I wasn't mad to see it gone.
And it's actually pretty funny because, as I said, this is why you tune into the pre-show stuff, because we probably won't get into any of our like real school stories, because we're going to get into the stories once we go live. But also there was a teacher we had named named Miss Strip Matter. And Miss Strip Matter,
eighth grade.
Yeah, eighth grade. Miss Strip
science.
Matter. Everybody hated her. And I remember everybody was so bad. I think that class was probably by far the worst class I had ever been a part of in my whole entire school duration.
She quit after our class. She actually quit teaching to go back to being something like a juvenile corrections, something or other, because we were that. Me personally, she asked me to leave the class one day and not return. So I was, and it started because I was writing notes with somebody in class, and she took all of my papers, she took my pens, and was like, "You're done. Like you're not writing nothing. No more of my class. You're done.
You're done." Well, how am I supposed to do my work? Like,
so she told me go back to the back of the class and call my mother to explain to her that I couldn't do any more schoolwork for the day because my science teacher confiscated all my stuff.
This is too good. We might need to do this live too.
I can't sit there and pay attention and listen. So rather than call my mother, I used the phone in her classroom to call the police. Well, needless to say, the police were not happy, and she was not happy that I had called and reported 2 packs of paper and a pen stolen. So
I'll never forget that, because I heard you in the hallway. I heard you in the back of, I'd like to report a theft.
And after that, she asked me to leave her class for the rest of that year.
Because Officer Snyder came up. It was Officer
Snyder was it was Miss J.
Was it
the vice principal? Who was actually before she was a vice principal, she was a science teacher. So that's where I did my 8th grade science class, was in the vice principal's office, because I was not allowed back in her class. The only time she had to let me back in her class was the last couple of days of school when they were doing finals, and she put a desk in the very back corner of the classroom facing the wall to where I couldn't look, couldn't see nobody. I had to sit at that desk, do my test, fold my test up. When I was done, everything was timed. If I got done my test early, I had to fold my test up, get up, and walk out the door, and wait in the hallway for the rest of the class.
It was like you were an inmate. Yeah, like it's almost like, and because the job that you do, I'm not going to say what you do for a living, but you go into a lot of places. It's almost like going into a prison, and they're just kind of like, and I did it when I deliver copiers, and it was the kind of thing that they're like, you can't have a screwdriver in your pocket. But there were some prisons I walked into where they didn't even do shit. I had a screwdriver in my pocket. I'm like, man, any motherfucker can just grab it and just plunge it into my fucking neck. And
for my job, I walked through a prison doing my job, and I had tools. And I mean, they're walking around sweeping the floors, mopping the floors, and I got my tool bag with hammers, scissors, cutters, and all other kind of shit. And they just guards are wherever, because the one that was supposed to be standing there watching me is walking down the hall talking to somebody else, not paying the fuck attention.
It was so bad that she audio recorded her class.
Yes,
and I remember we did it. Yeah, and she got in trouble because it's illegal to do shit.
No, she got in trouble because who was it? One of the kids in the class exposed himself on the camera.
Oh, yes. I remember Kenny Driscoll. I don't know. Do you ever know whatever happened to him? He used to do magic and shit.
He was smart. Him and his brother were on Nickelodeon when they were back in the day. He was real smart. He didn't do that bad.
He kept on walking over to him and going, I believe this might be illegal. And into the camera / audio device. And I've tried to find him so many times on Facebook just to see if he's like in Vegas or something. As like
he was real smart. So he's probably doing some sciencey computery shit somewhere else.
He was intelligent.
He's probably, I mean, he could be with the CIA watching us right now on this thing.
He could very well.
Hi, Kenny. Flash the screen twice if you're there. She ended up stopping because one of the kids exposed himself to the camera. It wasn't me, it wasn't Ray, it was somebody else in the class.
That was before that point of our lives. That was before we would do stuff like that. So
no, not Ray. I did. Ray up until about halfway through high school, Ray was real quiet and laid back.
I was real reserved. I never drank alcohol, like nothing like that. And then I ended up hanging out with guys like this.
Yeah,
and
I
that
think
chance to-
junior year, senior year
Yeah.
is when I finally like broke him down and he finally started like drinking and partying and
yeah
stuff like
So,
that.
part of my corruption, and we'll get into it once we go live, which we're going to wrap up this pre-show in a little bit, is
I'm just gonna randomly give people a drink.
and that's fine. That's fine. That's the thing.
Fuck you, Facebook.
Like I'm going to say this now on the Patreon. There's got to be, like, I posted this last week and I had a couple of people comment. There's got to be a lot of people out there with puckering buttholes right now, just going, what the fuck are they going to talk about?
No,
What are they going
to be honest
say?
with you, I think a lot of the people that we know that they're going to end up watching
Aren't
this
surprised. Yeah.
are going. No, they're going to be like, "Fuck, I forgot about that." God damn.
Yeah.
So for
Yeah,
the sake
yeah,
of argument and
yeah,
anything, like
yeah.
we don't want to get anybody in trouble with wives
yeah,
or husbands
yeah,
or boyfriends
yeah.
or jobs. So we're going to, you know,
we're going to
some of these
dance around
stories. We're
some
going
of
to
the
take.
names.
Some of these,
We're going to fabricate names to protect the innocent.
well,
that-
protect the guilty.
Yes,
because they're all fucking guilty. We're all guilty of something.
Yeah. So that's the thing. So the ones who know we're going to probably bring up their names, like probably Kenny, Bobby, whatever. They kind of, a lot of those stories are stories we already kind of talk about anyway.
Right.
So
And well, you know last name. So if you
Yeah.
think you know who they are, you're wrong. It
Yeah,
wasn't them.
yeah,
It was the
yeah,
other one.
yeah.
You don't know.
But anyways, what I'm going to go ahead and do is we're going to go ahead and wrap up our pregame episode right here for Patreon, our Patreon exclusive. Also, make sure you go out to our good friend Bubba Almoni. He's doing a celebrity basketball game on August 28th in Snow Hill, Maryland. He's a really good friend of the show. The Happy Hour podcast is going to be there. Jacoby Jones, adult film star Kendra Lust, a who's who of people who are going to be doing a celebrity basketball game for bullying and children's cancer. So make sure you check out the Happy Hour podcast website. Make sure you check out our Facebook where you're sharing all this stuff. Get tickets, come out, meet us, support a good cause, meet Bubba. He's one hell of a guy. He was voted Humanitarian of the Year for a couple of magazines for the bodyguard work he does. He only works with the biggest celebrities in the world, bodyguarding them. So make sure you go and check that
I
out.
may have to
and
hire him
support.
after
Yeah.
this when I become famous from the Happy Hour podcast TV show.
We had him when he was so genuine. I was like, so tell me, has anybody ever got it? Like, he was real, like he was down to earth, like nice guy,
Right.
Like nothing like us. And I was like, so have you had to break somebody's arm? Like, come on, tell us.
A guy like that, fuck yeah, probably.
Tell us who you've hurt. And he's like, oh, God bless, blah, blah. I'm like, one day, Bubba is gonna tell me who the fuck he hurt and why. And it's gonna happen.
Actually, you got to find out who hurt him to make him want to go into that business to hurt other people. That's where the real story is.
Yeah, so shout out, Bubba. We're going to go ahead and wrap up here on our pregame show. For those of you watching exclusively on Patreon, keep in mind, if you're new and you're watching us for the first time on Patreon, it's only $3 a month for all of our exclusive content. We will have exclusive content
And look,
from Bubba's.
titties.
Yeah.
Nudity.
And I mean, that's the thing. We will have exclusive content from Bubba's basketball game that will not be seen or heard anywhere else. So make sure you check that out. We're going to go ahead and wrap up. We will be live on Facebook Live. For those of you, if you're seeing this months, years, whatever from now, make sure you find the episode with the two of us. It's unreal. If you thought the War Pigs episodes were something, you haven't heard shit yet.
Beefalo Bob's. Eat there. Good.